Brother Paul, can you tell us about this teaching of science and mathematics in English? There's a lot of discussion going on. So what do you think as an educator?
I think the objective when Mahathir, just before he retired as Prime Minister, when he said that maths and science should be taught in English, he meant that hopefully that these two subjects, if taught in the medium of English, the children will have more exposure to the language. Not so much learning the language, but learning language for us all is very strange. We learn the language when we are thrown into the deep end. Let's say I do not know how to speak Mandarin and I go and work in China. I don't really have to go for extra lessons to learn Mandarin. By the very fact that you have to work in a Chinese environment and they only speak Mandarin, human beings automatically adapt. We will acquire Mandarin. Same with English, because English is already 25 years behind in the sense that when our education policy changed to Bahasa Melayu, it's more than 20 years. And so, and because of patriotism, in the spirit of patriotism, that's why English went backwards. And it's very sad that after 50 years of Merdeka, some of these politicians still see Bahasa English, or Bahasa Inggris as they call it, as Bahasa Penjajah. Why do you want to talk about colonialism? 50 years of independence and more than 50 years, you keep on blaming your colonial masters for all the bad things. How can? I mean, we must go on. So the very idea of teaching maths and science in English, we should retain, because we have spent millions trying to adjust, and now they are saying Bahasa Melayu has been given less prominence because of mathematics and science. I think they are lopsided in their argument. Language is such, as long as Bahasa is our national language, why are we worried about maths and science in English? I think the people who are fighting are people who don't want to learn the language, are people who can't be bothered. They want to make life easy. And that is the problem with young teachers and most people in Malaysian society these days. They don't want to learn anything new. They want to be always kept in the comfort zone. And so, they just don't go on. And they use patriotism like yesterday's Star newspaper, the Gapena, this Bahasa Melayu, keep on saying, telling the new education minister to change back to Bahasa and say it's relegating the language, the national language. I think it's wrong, it's lopsided.
As a parent, I also feel that it's very bad influence on our children that adults are fighting over this issue.
Exactly.
And it's giving them a bad impression of how we deal with problems.
Yes, and in maths and science in English, it's so helpful because if you go onto the internet, you go onto Astro, all the education program, there are plenty and plenty of science programs, all in English. And if the children only have, the command of the language, it would be very easy for them to understand. And so science become even easier. It's the teachers, young teachers who are not good in the language and they don't want to learn the language. And so you start giving all the bad vibrations and feedbacks to the politicians and start saying it got to be changed back to Bahasa. I feel it's very unfortunate and very sad that we don't take up the challenge. I think Mahathir himself will feel very sad and disappointed with the present political masters if they said that it should be back to Bahasa.
I was actually the first batch of students who studied in Bahasa, so my command of English is just surviving. Religious tolerance, we are very concerned about this situation because in the political area, we are always looking at people fighting over conversion issue and then temple demolition and so on. I feel that this is only quite a recent happening because more things are being exposed on the internet and the online media. So on your school level, do you feel any changes in the student also?
The thing is this. once you have a religion, which is the official religion in this country, and there is a resurgence of that religion, there is where the problem begins. Because as they promote the official religion, and then the culture of practicing that religion becomes a bit more stringent, that is where the intolerance comes in for other religions. Then they start teaching them in the religious classes that other religions are inferior. Once they see that inferiority in other religions, they're being taught to look like that, then they start saying, it's not fair. My religion say cannot do this, therefore I don't do. So you break rules, you know. So that's why the Ministry of Education has always to be careful about what they are doing, especially in their policy. But when it comes to Catholic schools or Christian schools, what they don't see is just that we are not an agama school like Islamic agama schools. We do not teach religious lessons per se. So we don't teach like an agama school. They have most of the subjects all Islamic studies. So compared to us, we are teaching the national curriculum. And when it comes to religious tolerance, we make sure, just because our schools have crosses and all, why do we have crosses? We have crosses in our Catholic schools to tell you this is a Christian school. It is founded based on Christianity. And although the government now is paying the teachers and so on, what we call grant in aid, you know, some of the grants given by the government, it doesn't mean that we must take down the crosses. Because this is part of our heritage. Why you do not strip of other people's heritage? So you know, so that is the thing. As for the demolition of temples and all, I can't say anything because we do not know the history behind it. It's just that sometimes the newspaper pick on a certain incident and then people start interpreting. So I would say that in this school, we promote religious tolerance. I feel the Rukun Negara seem to have disappeared into the background and people don't seem to practice. And so it's sad. When Abdul Razak insists on the Rukun Negara after May 13, 1969, he said that the first principle is the belief in God. When we say believe in God, it doesn't mean it's lopsided. It is just not the official religion. Every religion has a place. I think so. In the temple, if a land is given and if the land is legal, how can you demolish a temple? I think sometimes, you know, we don't know the background, and so because of the resurgence of Islam, we always say that, oh, these people are intolerable, and it's very dangerous. But I'm happy that in Malaysia we are very particular about religious tolerance.